Well, there was this thing called pandemic. Yeah. Yes, sir, it is. Thank you. So we've come to a time where we are starting to get more requests for facility use, um, namely for summer use of our facilities. And to be quite honest, item A and E and F kind of go together when talking about our facility use moving forward. And um, the first part of the facility use permits for A, um, I wanted to, sorry, my glasses fogged up, hang on a second. I wanted to talk to the group about potential use of facilities moving forward. Potential use outdoors and potential postponement of use indoors through December. One of the things that I think is going to occur is we're going to have to take more care of cleaning and have more space and time between events for our own students when it comes to our own indoor facilities. And I don't know that we have the staff to clean up after every single event if we allow outside organizations to use our indoor facilities. I do school events. That was the point that I was trying to make. Yes, that, and I just chose December because it was mid-year. I mean, that date's kind of arbitrary. Um, but yeah, the intent. Yes, you nailed the intent. Okay. Well, that's what I wanted to talk about. Do we start allowing reservations for organizations outside of our schools? You know, the folks that usually use our facilities. And right. Yeah, I kind of wanted to separate indoor and outdoor because I think they're two different issues. I think the indoor is a lot bigger issue for our staff to do cleaning. But I wanted to have a conversation about outdoor as well, where I think we could release outdoor sooner than we could indoor. So, so I just wanted to get a little guidance from this group, and I don't know if it has to go to the full board. Maybe it has to be a full board discussion as well of dates where we start opening up. You know, the outdoor facilities for soccer, for touch or flag football, things like that, and versus opening up things indoors as well. And just wanted to express my concern with opening indoors too soon with the cleaning part. Yeah, I would think that when we get to stage three, that we would, because stage three says gyms and athletic events with no fans from from the governor. Um,
Indoors, we're saying that even when things change from the health department, we're saying no because we don't have the staffing to do all the cleaning until December unless we have a special meeting to change that decision.
That's who's speaking.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So I guess then the thing that'll kick it in for outdoors would be when we get to stage 3.
When the county
Yes.
determines stage 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then for the indoors, somebody will call a meeting when it gets to the point where we can start considering that.
Yeah.
Is that your thought?
And I know there's going to be groups out there that want to make reservations and say, okay, we can just cancel them if we're not at that point, but they don't realize the behind the scenes and the work that the impact on staff who
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
trying to work from home. And I know my staff, it's killing them. It's hard. So,
Yeah. Because
yeah,
we
I like
yeah.
the direction that we're going.
Because we have setup. Not we don't only have cleaning, but we have setup, cleaning, the event, tear down, cleaning. Potentially.
I was listening to a report on the radio this morning about some county where the gyms can open, and a gym owner was saying they are going to open for an hour, close for a half hour so they can disinfect the entire gym, open for another hour, and do this every 60 minutes, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 30 minutes. We don't have the staff for that kind of stuff.
No. Mm-mm.
Jimmy will do it
Ah.
when he's fully staffed.
Yeah.
So does that give you the guidance you need?
Yes, sir. It does. Thank you.
Do we need to take that to the board? I don't think so.
Zoom settings.
I was thinking that we can inform them of what's happening.
Oh,
Yeah,
settings.
yeah.
It
Members
wasn't the
could
Zoom settings.
get calls, so we might inform them, but it's not a decision, I don't think. Yeah, no, it's not a decision. It's just to continue what we're doing.
Right.
Oh, mute.
Right. Okay.
The board can
Audio
tell us
settings.
it's a decision and they want it.
Automatically join
So if there's no
audio
further
majority meeting.
questions or clarity
Real
needed
tech?
on item A,
Where-
item B,
no. Do you
facilities
see- oh.
update, staff report?
It's on Realtek.
Jimmy, that's you, Jimmy.
I think it worked. Maybe.
So,
Can you hear?
some things we've been working on. We have a punch list walkthrough next Wednesday for the PDC. We should get that building in the next week and a half, something like that. The furniture delivery for that building is the first week of June. Cordis, it looks like the admin building at Cordis will also be available next Wednesday to do a punch list walk, which is a good thing. We've been doing fire alarm, getting the fire alarm set up for the PDC. The other thing we're working. Also, on Teaching School, the way the buildings are set up, they're set off for each individual classroom. We tried to isolate the problem. We've gone through several times. What we've been able to determine is that there is an irrigation leak somewhere. It must be a mainline leak or somewhere at one of the valves. When we shut the water off to the school and you shut the water off at the booster pump, the meter stops spinning. But when you open up the water at the booster pump, the meter starts turning even though no sprinklers are on. So what that tells us there's a leak somewhere. There's no visible evidence on campus of where it would be. We checked the storm drains to see sometimes the overflow will fall into one of the storm drains. We couldn't find anything. I contacted our grounds company yesterday and asked if they had a company they worked with to help us try and find the leak. But as it stands right now, there's something going on with the irrigation system that we can't determine what it is or where it's at.
A water problem in Altamont, imagine that.
Well, at least it's not an
also referring to the water, the question as to whether there was a leak that was coming up through the foundation that we had to fix earlier, and we literally couldn't find the problem, and so the question was there a leak under the building?
He froze again? Yeah.
So sorry, I keep freezing. But anyways, there is no leak under the. We don't know what the leak is, but it's not under. If it's irrigation, it's not under the building. There's no irrigation pipes that go under the buildings. So
So if I could clarify just for a minute, one of the things that Colin, you've been asking about regularly is turning off all the water and seeing if the meter keeps going, right, to see if we have a leak and where. So I think they've done that and they figured out that it's one of the larger irrigation lines, potentially not under the building but out away from the building, and they've looked around to find, if there's like a swampy area or anything like that, but they haven't found anything like that. So we're going to keep trying to chase it with some assistance from Jensen, who's our new grounds maintenance department, and see if we can't figure it out from there. So
We have concluded that there is in fact a leak, that it is in fact not under the building, that it is the irrigation line.
that's correct.
So does it affect every single sprinkler head or just a certain portion of them?
It's undetermined because we can only trace it.
I already did.
Freeze up again.
Yeah, you froze up again.
Yep.
Sorry. We're not quite sure because we can only trace it back to the booster pump. We're not quite sure beyond that where the leak is.
Okay.
So that's as far as we can get it so far.
But all the sprinkler heads actually work.
Yes, everything works, and that's not a problem. So there's no visible evidence anywhere of anything leaking. That's part of the mystery that we'll keep trying to track down.
Is there any possibility that the meter could be faulty?
Jimmy, did you catch that? Is there a possibility the meter could be faulty?
No, I don't think the meter is faulty.
Okay.
We're able to isolate it, and the meter actually stops.
Okay.
Yeah, but when it's running, could it be running at a faulty rate? That's what I was thinking. I'm not an expert, I'm just trying to be creative.
I suppose, but it does change pace, so to speak, as well. It'll slow at some point, and then we were on campus flushing toilets and stuff, and you can see it speed up, so we're able to vary the rate of the meter. It's not sitting there spinning continuously, so I don't think it's the meter. We've had the meter checked before, and they said it's working, but
Okay.
I'm not a meter expert. But
All right, yeah, I was just trying to be creative, think out of the box a little bit.
so are we. So thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else on the facility update, Jimmy?
I don't think so.
Well, if there are no other questions or comments, we'll move on to item C, process for facility usage, past due usage fees. Staff report?
Okay. Please excuse the delay. I'm monitoring a computer and my report here. Previously, you asked if I could bring forward the process for facilities use, how they're rented, what the process is for a facility use request, when they're billed, when are they billed when it's late, if they haven't paid, what has our process been in the past. So I was asked to do some research, so I've got that. So I'm just going to go through kind of the process and review the process that we have, and then talk about some of the things that we've put into place to fix some of the overdue bills that we have had in the last 6 to 9 months. Okay, so it starts with a new facility request is submitted online, and the user has to go in and create a password, and they get an email, and it comes back to them, and then they have a way to get into our system. They can view a calendar, and they look at the calendar and see where they want to put in an event. they can put in an event and then make a request. Once that's done, it goes to the school site administrator. They check the request to make sure that it fits with their schedule. If that is approved, then it comes to the district office. It's reviewed. We check their insurance and that they have everything required to use the facility. Invoice is created, and then that's sent to the vendor, and they have to pay. Once we receive the payment and approval, we print a permit, and they're allowed to use the facility. So now here's where we've caught ourselves in the past with some of the people that have owed us money and have outstanding debt. Renewal of the facility has occurred in a couple of ways. One, people have renewed the facility use and paid ahead of time like is required to use a facility. But being a good neighbor as a district, we have also allowed organizations, especially the nonprofit organizations, to do their fundraising and then pay us and allow them to start their activity and then pay us after their activity has started to allow them to have a little bit of leeway. We've stopped doing that because we, as you have noted, we've gotten burned, and I did a report on that at a previous meeting. So we are not doing that anymore. In fact, once a permit comes in, the very first thing we check is to see if they have an outstanding debt from a previous use. If they have an outstanding debt from a previous use, they do not get to use our facilities until they pay the outstanding debt. And then that letter that you mentioned, Colin, in the back of the packet, that's the demand letter that we're sending out from business services now for individuals that owe us money from facility use to pay what they're owed. So we have 2 or 3 organizations that we mentioned at the previous meeting that were in good standing, that are no longer in good standing, so they will not be using our facilities anymore, unless they come into good standing and they pay and they do all of the things that are back due. And if that's the case, then people that use the facilities that were previously in good standing and were allowed to essentially get their facilities before it goes public, they would have to wait and earn that right back and go through the public facilities use, just like any new user would have to do to use our facilities. So I hope that summary kind of covers your questions about our process. I believe we've tightened it down. I think we had a good neighbor practice before, and after getting burned for over $1,000, I think our good neighbor practice is over.
Yeah, I was stunned at the amounts that we weren't paid.
I was too, to be honest. Yeah. So we've tightened up the ship, and there's no more free rides till you get your money from your organization or from your kids, and then we're not doing that. So they got to have it up front, or they don't get to use the facility.
That's sad. A few bad apples ruined it for those who did do the fundraising and paid us when they had the money.
Yeah, which is really nice that we did that, because it really helps out those organizations that need to get the money
Sure.
paid and then be able to turn around and pay for the facility. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
If there's no additional questions or comments by the committee on item C. Item D, Cordis Waterfill Station staff report.
Okay, at the last meeting, it was requested that I find out what the waterfill station status was at Cordis. They have 1 per building, so they have 6 waterfill stations at Cordis. There is also a waterfill station at the PDC. As we move forward in the building of new schools, they're all going to have the waterfill stations that we talked about, that we put in at Lammersville. The test version we put in at Lammersville, and in fact, they use the same model at the new school. So that's my report.
Any questions or comments from the committee?
nope, I think these waterfill stations are fabulous.
Item E, MHCSD/LUSD pool use agreement. Staff report.
So I've been in contact with Sarah Ragsdale, and we've discussed the summer swim program, for which we have an agreement for 2 years with the CSD to use our pool at the high school. The question has come up if when are we going to release the use of the pool, and I wanted to get clarification. When we get to stage 3, are we going to release use of the pool for the CSD to use the swim program? To use it for their swim program, excuse me.
So they do not use the locker room, correct? Or do they?
They use the restroom.
Use the restroom only.
And they use the small office for the attendant. Yeah, for the
staff,
check-in.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd say align with the county. And if they say it's stage 3 and we can open something like that, if pools are listed, I'm good with it. Kids have been cooped up so long, they're gonna explode when level 3 comes, stage 3, yeah. I don't know how everyone else feels. You all know I feel very strongly about pools.
Yeah, I agree. I think when the county health leadership says that we can do it, we go ahead and do it. But we don't know. We can't tell MHCSD when that will be.
Do we know if the CSD hired any lifeguards that they have waiting? They may not be able to hold the program even if we hit stage 3, if they don't have lifeguards.
I have seen them post on Facebook that they have been looking for lifeguards. So
Yeah, I saw postings.
people have applied, but they have been in the process of recruiting.
Okay.
I believe there's at least 2 faux bears that will be working with their program. I could find out pretty easily. So,
Yeah.
Does anyone on the committee have concerns about just saying follow county health guidelines, and when the county health guideline is you can open a pool, we open the pool?
I think that's fine, although I think we have to think about, in terms of last summer, I don't know how packed the pool was getting. I know that there's a ratio of swimmers versus lifeguards, but I don't know how packed that got with the ratio, and if people are still able to maintain somewhat of social distancing, and if that's something we need to think about. Because at a pool, of course, parents will be there and they will be staying if they have little kids swimming or younger kids swimming at the pool. So if phase 3 says, team sports or sporting events with no spectators, then the pool will be a sort of a variation on that, I guess.
That's a really good point. Do we allow the parents in that are just sitting on the sidelines? Because that would be really the social distance part that we would be worried about, not so much the people in the pool, because the pool has so many chemicals. I would think they would be fairly safe in the pool.
But I wouldn't want, if younger kids were in the pool, even younger kids, I'm even meaning, 6th, 7th, 8th graders, but I think their parents should be there so that, there's more eyes on the kids swimming, the better, even though we do have the lifeguards.
Yeah. I'm also thinking about cleaning, since we were talking about our indoor facilities just a few minutes ago. What would have to be regularly wiped down during a swim time? And they have several lifeguards, so lifeguards can do it. But I think we would have to have a side agreement with them of here's what has to be done. I think a lot of consulting with the health department would need to happen in order to open the pool.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good discussion with the health department.
Mm-hmm. They're the experts.
yeah. And then if the health department says it's good to go, maybe we could request a plan from them. How are you going to maintain social distancing? What's your plan for for the pool use, right?
Yeah.
Now, does the San Joaquin County Office of Education have any guidelines for pool use and when I mean, because many of the high schools do have pools.
I have not received any yet.
Okay.
I'm sure that once the whole stage 3 hits and sports kick off, I think that we're going to have a lot more direction in that realm.
Okay.
Yeah, I was kind of assuming so, that when the county health says you can do something, they're gonna provide the guidelines necessary to be able to do it. If not, then I'm with, Lisa and Sharon. We have to know what we're doing.
Right, so if the county doesn't come out with something, Lisa, there's got to be a State Department, right?
Yeah.
Lisa's my local expert on what does the county health department do.
So does the district have what it needs on that item?
Yeah, I think I heard if we get to stage 3, when we get to stage 3, I'm not going to say if, we'll wait for the county health department's okay, get their guidelines, and then I'll ask for a plan from the CSD, and as soon as I have a plan, we can initiate the agreed upon pool use. And if
we think we're getting close to stage 3, we might want to reach out to Angel Lamb and find out if she has enough guards to open.
Okay. Okay.
I know we're not, I'm in charge of the pool at work, and we're not planning on opening it at all. I didn't even advertise for guards. Wow. Which is very sad.
It is. It's sad for the kids.
Any other questions or comments on item E? Okay. Item F, reopening, facility use, after-school care, etc. Staff report?
So we have been in contact with the CDC, the Child Development Center, who is at Wickland and Altamont, and Montessori, who's at Cuesta, to have conversations about when they are available and willing to reopen and when their parent organizations will allow them to reopen. The CDC has indicated that they are prepared to open at any time to service essential workers' children, which they are allowed to do, and they have been doing in other areas. So I wanted to have a discussion with this group to talk about when and if we would reopen facility use for those organizations that use our buildings.
Governor and county.
All right, yeah.
Like a broken record.
Yeah. Well, I know that a lot of different areas are providing childcare for essential workers currently, which, may be helpful in our area.
That was my understanding. I thought childcare and agencies like this were considered essential businesses, and many of them are still open. And if that's the case, really, and we're following those guidelines, our CDC could open up immediately.
Well, those centers are supposed to be open right now for children of essential workers, not for all children.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I was going to point that out and ask what procedures we would take to ensure that that's what they were actually using it for.
Yeah, we do have a lot of essential workers in Mountain House with doctors and nurses and ambulances and all sorts of things. The educators that are going to need to start going back and planning in their classrooms, and that kind of stuff. Now, I know in Merced County, I would assume there is also in San Joaquin County, there's stuff through the county where parents can go and find vouchers and a list of approved childcare in the area. So San Joaquin County must have something like that. I just don't know the connections.
If I may, we
Getting
have,
back to our item, I give those people a lot of credit. Have you ever tried to keep 4-year-olds social distance? They love everyone and they hug their friends.
we have,
As an aside, I actually had a parent ask me about school in the fall and if kids were coming back. And I said, that's kind of not there's a lot of people that are going to weigh in on that decision between now and then, what that would look like. And they said, well, they should just let them back and make them all wear masks all day. And I said, you put 20 TK students into a room and tell the teacher, make sure they wear the mask at all times and see how that goes for you.
You now have lots of flying objects.
Yeah, those are fun to fling from the elastic.
Yes,
Yes.
but getting back to when those facilities can reopen, again, I think if they're following the state and county guidelines, then I'm okay with it.
so we have requested their plan from each of the organizations. What is your organization social distancing plan, your limitation on students, blah, 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 to ensure that they have an actual written plan. We've received it from the CDC. We have not received it from the Montessori group yet, but I'm inclined to move towards letting them reopen with the criteria in place that they have from their parent organization. I didn't know if that had to be a discussion item with the board or not, because when we shut down everything. So
I would feel
I would think that it would definitely want to go to the board, although, I mean, in terms of the timeline, it makes sense to me to do it. And it's a benefit to our community, it's a benefit to the employees. It's starting to get back to a little bit of a normal pattern, which is going to be, just a plus for everybody involved. As long as we can maintain that safety and they have a good, effective plan.
I agree with Lisa. I absolutely think it has to go to the board because the way lawsuits run, God forbid somebody gets sick, first they're going to sue one of those organizations, and then they're going to come after us because supposedly school districts have deep pockets, and they're going to say, you allowed those organizations to do that. So, I mean, from the facilities committee, I'm okay with the buildings being used, but I think it needs to go through district staff and legal advice and then brought to the board.
Agreed. Do we have a consensus on that?
Yeah.
Good.
I've seen way too many lawsuits in my time. Sorry.
Can I ask a clarifying question? Do you want to bring that to the board as an info discussion or as a part of committee report? How do you want to bring that?
I think the board needs to make the final decision if we allow those to open.
Yeah.
Would you agree, Colin?
Yeah, I think that rises to the level of an actual decision.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, because there's positives and negatives of doing it either way, saying yes or no.
Okay.
And I think that the 5-member board will probably have a robust discussion about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I will make an info discussion at the next available board meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions or comments on item F? Item G, solar, Lammersville solar projects. Staff report?
I'll do my best to get through this without freezing up, so. Going to the report, page 2, hopefully you have it in front of you. Page 2 talks about the program. Dealing with Spur, I've met with Spur on several other projects. They're a good group to work with. Page 3 is another overview of the program. They've basically done all the work for us, all the paperwork, all the RFP, all that stuff is already done for us. Page 4 shows some of the other districts in California that use the program. You'll notice Tracy's on there, as well as some other neighboring districts. Page 5 is the overview of the program. They do have a solar curriculum, if the district would be interested in that.
I had a question on that.
Sure.
Is this something they do as a benefit to the school, or the school would pay for it?
It's a benefit. It's free.
Sounds like science curriculum to me.
Yeah, it says career readiness pathway.
There you go.
There you go.
See?
Slide 6 or page 6. It shows the before and after solar columns. If you look to after solar, we save almost $5,000 year one savings. Over the life of the project, it's over $2 million over 20 years. That's better illustrated on page 7. It breaks it down by kind of slowing the first 4 or 5 years, but once it starts hitting, 8, 9, 10 years in, we're up to $500,000, and then at the end it's 2.3 million, over 2.3 million over 20 years. So if you look at it by school, in the center of the column it says percent energy offset. The sweet range for every school is about 85 to 90%. We couldn't get any higher than 73 at the high school because that's the maximum. It's the largest maximum structure they could build at the high school. It's 73%, it offsets 73% of the energy. And then Altamont is a little low. We're limited by the parking lot at Altamont. It's a little smaller than what we need. So that's those two schools. Everything else is in the range where we want it to be, pretty much. Page 8 has some other things they offer. They have a charging station for cars. They have other
So on page 8,
yeah.
are those things that are provided as part of the package, or are they additional, optional bells and whistles?
It's like a car. They're add-ons. They're add-on items.
A ribbon cutting ceremony they would charge us for?
Not for that, but the but the workstations and the electric car charging stations are extra.
But, okay, so then the one that I'm obviously interested in is, I had a question about the solar workstation, but the fact that it's additional, it probably answers my question. But the career readiness pathway on that page is part of the solar curriculum, and that's included, right?
It is.
Okay.
So then on the solar workstation, it says that it's 100% off grid, but I didn't see any energy storage, which means if the sun goes down, you lose energy from that workstation, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. Page 10, the question came up about the district office and would it be viable to put a system at the district office? So the third row down has a district office. It's not viable. It actually ends up costing us money. The footprint of that site is just too small to justify putting a panel in. So this chart has with the district office, so it wouldn't work out for the district to put one there. On page 11, it has the how much you're going to save every year all the way through year 20. And again, it's somewhere over $2 million. Page 12 has starts the actual site maps, and you can see where the panels will go. First one's Altamont. Like I said, Altamont's a little small than what we'd like to have it. That's about the best we could do right there. Bethany is obviously the front parking lots, full panels. District office, like I said, not really gonna work out for us. Hanson, basically most of the front parking lot will be covered with solar panels. Lambertsville would have a small, section by rooms in the 1920, the portables out there. Mount House High School, basically the whole, whatever northwest parking lot will be covered with solar panels.
And on the high school, that's the biggest facility we could put. We couldn't put panels over the other parking lot?
No, because there's some hang up with MID, and you're not allowed to build. They went up to 0.99 gigabytes, whatever it is, up to the line where that's the biggest system they could put on there. It has to do with MID. Yeah, I know. And then Cuesta. Cuesta is a bit of an issue. Thor and I walked it a couple days ago. We think the panels will fit right there. The front parking lot doesn't work because of the oval shape of it. The panels would hang over the asphalt, maybe 10 feet, and the rest of it would be over the grass. There'd still be room for a soccer field on the east field, and it actually might be a good place. It actually would work out okay. Any questions on Cuesta? Okay.
Jimmy, hang on one second. You froze for a second. One of the things on Cuesta is they would lose one basketball court on the north portion of the school. A net one basketball court, because they would technically lose two basketball courts, but we could relocate one of them to another area, which the principal's already requested for her playground area.
Okay.
But they would still have 9 basketball courts.
Okay.
The whole front parking lot, almost the whole front parking lot's covered with panels. So that's it.
I do have a question on Cuesta.
Sure.
I am totally not a techie. I do not understand, but I saw basically each drawing had one thing that had a marker called POCC, but Cuesta has 5 of them.
The connections. Oh,
I don't know what they are. Are they little equipment sheds or?
I think they're pointing connection.
Oh, so it's not like it's. I looked at it and thought, is that a structure? They're putting a structure in front of the school. It's not a structure. It's underground.
That's where they connected a main electrical grid right there, and they bore underground, so there's no trenching or cutting of the asphalt or anything.
Okay.
I only see one.
Look up on Cuesta. Look at the intersection of the 2 solar grids. There's 4 of those 5-pointed things there.
It's by the playground, Sharon.
Yeah. Yeah.
And granted, it's not marked like everything else has a mark that says POCC, but when I saw those, I was like, what are those?
Yeah. Yeah.
But maybe they're nothing, because it's not like those are equipment sheds or power things. Okay, never mind.
There's nothing like that.
Okay.
That's pretty much it. So, just any questions?
Now remind me, just because it's been a while, we will own these or these will be rented?
There you go. Sorry, we're charging up. We're got a low battery. I'm sorry.
Okay, Jimmy, will we own these solar panels?
No, the company owns them,
Company owns
which
them.
means they're responsible for maintaining them, and we don't have anything to do with them.
Okay, and how long of a contract are we signing with them? Because apparently to save over $2 million takes
20.
until I'm very, very old. So,
Yeah, you and me both. It's 20 years.
yeah. So the whole contract is 20 years.
Yes. They're responsible for everything.
Yeah.
If I
What
could,
happens at the end of 20 years?
They turn into pumpkins.
There'll be a new source of energy by then.
Yes, there you go.
No, I mean, do they rip out the solar? Do the solar stay? What happens to the equipment at the contractually at the end of 20 years?
I honestly don't know. I can find out, but they own the equipment, so if it had to be removed, they would be responsible for moving it. At that point, it may need to be upgraded. And we maybe enter another contract with them. The district would,
So Colin's question made me think of another one, and that is, this is technology and it's always changing. And 3 years from now, if these are outdated, it's up to them to replace anything and update it if we're not seeing any savings, right?
Yeah, these savings are guaranteed to us. So if for some reason they don't meet the mark, they have to pay us the difference.
Okay, I like that word. Okay.
Yeah.
Guarantee.
Yeah, this is all guaranteed. And it's up to them to maintain the equipment and make sure it does what it's supposed to do so that we meet our benchmarks along this path.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I guess one of the things that we're asking is, this is a preliminary discussion, and at some point we can take it to the full board with your permission if you think we have enough information. And when we do that, we would ask the company to come give a full presentation, and they could answer all those, the other board members are gonna have the same questions I think that you have, Sharon. So I think what we're looking for now is, do you want us to keep moving forward with this, or how would you like us to move forward with this?
I think the company should come and do an informational presentation to the board. So not for the board to take action, they need time. What do you think, Colin?
Agreed. And I actually had a series of that's why I asked before the meeting who was going to present, because if they were presenting, I had a series of questions. Like the deal structure, I recognize that since it's a power purchase agreement, it was a lease and not a purchase.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some assumptions in the feasibility. It assumes a 2% per year demand increase, and we've been doing things to actually reduce our demand. Now, granted, that doesn't make it unprofitable. It just cuts out of the 2 million. The other one was they assume a 2% per year increase in price. So there was a 2% increase in demand and a 2% increase in price. And I'm just curious, our history with Modesto Irrigation, has it been a 2% per year increase on average, or?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. And then the last one is that the feasibility assumes solar degradation. That means it produces less electricity over time of 0.5% per year. That's less than what I'm familiar with, but there's some really good product out there. So I would like to know more about what the product that they're actually quoting when those guys, I'm not asking you guys to answer, but those are the kinds of questions that I'm going to ask. And then the last one is on the renewable energy credit, or more particularly the solar renewable energy credit. They're assuming a $4 per megawatt hour. And I'm curious where they got that number as well.
I'm so glad this is in your wheelhouse.
So many things aren't, but solar energy, construction and solar energy, actually energy of any kind, but yeah. So those, I'm gonna email you, Mr. Harrison, I'm gonna email you the questions, so that, because I don't wanna just try to trick them.
Right.
But those are questions that aren't answered in this packet that really drive the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So would you want me to set up a time for them to come give us information to the board? As a part of that, they would need to answer the questions that you have come up with.
No, my opinion is this can go to the board as an information and discussion item, but when they present, I'm giving them a heads up of the questions I'm going to ask.
Yeah, that's my point. Yeah, that's why I was asking. Okay. Great.
Do we have a consensus that this can go to the board as an information and discussion item presented by, would that be Spur or would that be,
Forefront.
Forefront?
They're both are willing to come.
But our actual contract, our actual power purchase agreement will be with Forefront, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I definitely want them there.
Okay.
Does anybody have any thoughts on whether Spur should be there or not?
You don't hear this from me often, but I'll defer to you. I don't understand any of this. I just know that, technology changes so quickly.
Yeah.
And this is technology.
Spur will want to be there, so it wouldn't hurt to have them there as well.
Fine. But I definitely want, the Forefront is going to be the actual business partner that we are dealing with, so I want them there.
Yep.
Understood.
Any other
Okay,
questions?
so here's another question for them that they can be prepared to answer. Because I love these kinds of questions. So we're saving all this money. How do they make money? What's in this for them? Oh, I'll ask that. Don't-
The cash off of the power purchase agreement, that's where they're getting their cash. They're investing something and getting back. The power purchase agreement is 10.6 million that we have to pay them over the course of 20 years. So that's where they're getting their money. But they can answer that.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions, comments on solar? Okay, so item.
Wait a minute. Saint, you're muted. We can't hear you.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, sorry. My kids were rolling around here, so I had to mute that. That's why we have to open those parks sooner. No, I was asking what's up with Cordes. Are they getting their solar stations or, panels?
They were not a part of the research and the plan at this time.
I didn't even know, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're gonna ask. They're like, okay, you guys got solar. Where's mine? My friends are gonna be asking me. So
Yeah.
So why wasn't that in the package? Because it's not done yet, or?
I haven't asked them to look at Cordis yet.
next
So,
Then what they need to be, one of the questions that they should answer is the economies of scale, right? Because we have a lot of economies of scale with what we're doing now, and if doing this with everybody but all the buildings but Cordis, or all the schools but Cordis, does that create an economies of scale problem so that we can't, that it's less cost effective to do Cordis later?
Right. Yeah, and then Costa, and then whatever else, right?
Evelyn Costa.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We'll find that out.
Great question.
Yeah. I'm glad I saw that you were trying to speak.
Yeah, I'm so sorry I didn't notice that. I'm sorry. Anyway, so anything else on item G? Okay, item 6, action items. Staff report, is there an action item to take?
We do not have any action items at this time.
Okay. Item 7, future agenda topics and meeting dates. Item A is future meeting dates for 2020-21. Staff report?
So what I've done in the past is I've put together our 4 or 5 meetings that we have a year, the proposed dates, and I send them out to the entire group and see if they work for you and get response. And then if they work, I put them on the master calendar. Is that how you would like me to proceed moving forward?
Sure.
Yeah.
On that note, I would like to say that my understanding is that this is my last meeting because my term has expired
Yep.
since we implemented the 2-year term. So, I think it's time to start recruiting for somebody to replace me. And I don't know what that process is.
We would use the same process that we used with Saint, and that would happen after July 1.
Okay,
Because technically, I think you're still a part of the group until July 1. So if we had to call like an emergency meeting or something, you would still be a part of that, I believe.
okay, thank you.
And that's a great point. To that point, we used to change board member participation in committees in late, like December, January, right? But now we do it in June. So this is actually my last, because this is my second year. So I believe this is my last meeting as well on the committee. So anyway, it's been an honor working with you guys.
I agree. I have enjoyed it. I have enjoyed the discussions. I enjoy having the firsthand knowledge, if you will, about things that are going on. But thank you it was David Pombo that approached me. I think this is my 4th year, so it's been a while, but I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
So do we have term limits? I know Lisa's term is up. So Lisa could actually apply and get reappointed.
True. However, I think from what I understand from the discussion was like when Saint applied, there was 18 applicants, so there was a lot of applicants. And so I think the idea was that if nobody applied, then I would be eligible to stay on. But if I applied, then they would get,
Okay.
I guess.
Or we just keep you guys until December. How about that? We're putting the hold, right? Let's hold up on that too.
So anyway, but that doesn't change the guidance on future meeting dates. You're going to send that out to whoever's on the committee, and the people that come on the committee will adapt.
Yes. Okay.
All right, I will make it so.
So then future agenda topics.
Who knows what tomorrow holds?
Yeah, let's talk about vaccines. Like let's talk about using the school district to do vaccines.
Vaccinate kids.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
in terms though of facilities and if and when the students are able to come back to the school in the fall, does the facilities committee have to figure out how to get the school ready, or I don't know, does that fall under our purview?
Not for students.
No.
That's the district's
That's
job.
Jimmy's job.
Okay.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of discussion and guidance from the state. I can't imagine, and of course this is just my opinion, I'm guessing, I don't have the inside track, is that we will not, I can't imagine that we won't be on some sort of split session, whether it's AM, PM, every other day, because they're still going to want kids to have social distance when we reopen. That's what all school districts are talking about. So we have no idea what it's going to look like. It'll be a mystery that I will watch from afar. Because I have 38 days.
You're still on the board.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Not too far.
I'm loving that. Yeah. But implementing it, I can't tell you. Living it at work and imagining how hard our staff in Delhi is in Lammersville is working, because it's that much bigger. They're working their tails off, a lot of them from home. My secretaries told me, can we come back to work? We're working too hard. So, and the staff's really pulled together. It's been amazing. Really has. I'm so proud of this district. I can't say that enough times.
I have to echo that, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's the teachers, the staff, district staff, everybody has been unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Colin, you might still be the chair of this committee, because it's up to the board president.
Yeah, but I actually think I like the whole 2 years, you know, like the first year you're on it, the second year you're the chair, and then you roll off. I like that.
Did you just appoint me?
No, the president actually can choose to change it all, but I think that's the idea is that
Yeah.
as soon as I adjourn, you're the chair.
No, this is a very interesting committee. It really is. It's not what I expected. And it's been informative, and I've learned a lot.
So any other comments, questions, anything?
I have one last comment, if I may. Thank you
Yes,
for
absolutely.
all of your leadership, Colin, on this committee. It's been great. You know, if you're not continuing, I wanted to make sure that we said that. You know, you've been great for this committee, and we appreciate all the work you've done. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate everything that you guys on the district staff do. I know this is a difficult and time-consuming and thankless job, and yet, you know, we have to do it. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for being such a great committee. And with that, I will adjourn the Facilities Committee meeting of the Lambersville Unified School District at 7:41 p.m.
Thank you.
very much.
Stay safe, everybody.